In this video, I'm going to tell you how we helped a lawyer collect $3 million in legal fees in just 7 months. Now, this happened to be a personal injury attorney, but this strategy works for any practice area, and it doesn't matter what your geographical location is. It also doesn't matter what your competition is doing. This will work for you. So this client, as I said, is a personal injury attorney located in Louisiana, and he did what all personal injury attorneys do. He goes for car accident cases and truck accidents and motorcycle accidents and slip and falls and all your normal bread and butter stuff. But I happen to know that in marketing, the riches are in the niches. So I asked him a very simple question. I asked him, if you could only get one type of case for the rest of your career, what type of case would it be? And without hesitation, he told me traumatic brain injury cases. Those are his bread and butter cases. So that's what we decided to focus on. We decided that we are going to help him niche down into traumatic brain injury cases for his marketing. Now, I want to make a very clear distinction. This is just for his marketing. He still handled car accident cases, he still handled slip and fall, he still handled motorcycle and truck accident cases. But in his marketing, we were going to build a very specific marketing campaign for traumatic brain injury cases. And there's a saying, where focus goes, cash flows, and that is exactly what happened. Now, let me tell you exactly what we did. First, we started thinking about who are the types of people that actually hire you for a traumatic brain injury case. And this is what you need to do as well. You need to think, who are the actual people that hire you? What are their demographics and what are their psychographics? For traumatic brain injury cases, what he realized is that most of the time, the people that hired him for a traumatic brain injury case were not the traumatic brain injury victims themselves, but the caregivers, the family members, the loved ones of someone suffering from a traumatic brain injury. So now we have our niche and we know who we're targeting. We're targeting traumatic brain injury cases, but really specifically, we're targeting caregivers of people who have suffered a traumatic brain injury. Now, the next thing I did is had him make a very big list of all the problems that somebody who is caring for someone with a traumatic brain injury is going through. What are all the problems that they have? Additionally, what are their fears and what are their desires? This left him with a giant list of problems, fears, and desires that he can all use to create content to appeal directly to people who are caring for a traumatic brain injury victim. So after looking at this list, we were able to identify that really traumatic brain injury caregivers, they're looking for resources, they're looking for support, they're looking for help. How can they get help with the care of their loved one, and also how can they get help for their loved one? What we decided to do is put together a free guide that provided all of the free resources available to someone who has a traumatic brain injury and to someone who is caring for somebody with a traumatic brain injury in not only the state of Louisiana, but also the entire country. The next thing we did is had our client create a series of videos. Now, every single problem and fear from that list that we made before turned into its own video, especially the problems. So basically what we did is we had a video that said, hey, do you have this problem? Well, here's the solution. And we created lots and lots of videos that were helping people solve small problems. Our client had a client himself who was suffering from insomnia, and this particular person's wife had tried everything to help her husband get some sleep. And she finally figured out a formula that worked pretty well. And she relayed it to our client, who then created a video about, hey, if you or a loved one has a traumatic brain injury and you are suffering from insomnia, here's a formula and a way to get some sleep that might just work for you. So check it out. Now, the next thing we did is we created a Facebook group that was going to function as a community that provided support for people who were caring for victims of traumatic brain injury. Now, the group wasn't named after the attorney or after the law firm or anything like that. It was titled in a way that had a benefit in it. So, for example, it was titled something along the lines of Louisiana Traumatic Brain Injury Caregiver Support Group. So now we've got our community built, we've got our videos filmed, we've got our resources guide created. Now it's time to start running ads. So what we did is we started running ads on Facebook and Instagram. Now, these ads were not advertising the law firm, they weren't advertising the lawyer, they weren't advertising anything. The only thing they were advertising was they were advertising the solution that was found inside of the resources guide. So they were essentially saying, if you're caring for somebody with a traumatic brain injury, this free guide will show you all these resources that you may not know exist that will benefit you. To download the guide, they had to enter their email address, which would then add them to our drip email sequence. And on the confirmation page, it would invite them to join the Facebook community. From that point on, every day they would get another email that had a video from our client that helped solve another problem. Now, these weren't spam emails. We emailed every single day, and the reason why is because they were actually helping solve problems. There's a theory out there that if you help people solve enough small problems, eventually they will hire you for the big problem. Additionally, as people joined the Facebook group, our client continued to go in there and create content and help people solve problems and answer questions, and he started becoming an authority in this space. People began to know, like, and trust him. Now, in the beginning, when you first start this strategy, most of the people who have traumatic brain injuries are people that had traumatic brain injuries for several years before, and it's not really people that are going to turn into cases. However, eventually the word started spreading, and it didn't take long. It took just a couple of weeks, maybe a couple months, and we started attracting people who started asking questions about maybe if they had a case. So he continued doing this, and I checked in with him after 7 months, and after 7 months, he had signed up 10 traumatic brain injury cases. He had generated about $7 million in settlements, of which he brought home about $3 million. Now, this strategy can be used for any practice area, for any geographical location. It doesn't matter. If you use the foundation of this strategy, it will work, and it has worked. We've used this strategy for personal injury, for criminal defense, for family law, for real estate, for estate planning. It works for everybody. This is just an example of how we did it for a personal injury attorney. Now, if you have any questions about how to use this, or if you want any ideas about how you can niche down or anything like that, leave a comment below and I will be happy to brainstorm with you. I hope you guys enjoyed this strategy, and I will see you in the next video.